asked what's your sign, I mean what constellation was the sun in at the moment of your birth. The sun sign is important because it shows our basic character traits. Over the next few months, we'll cover the whole zodiac. But for now, let's talk about the sun in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is represented by the goat, a hooved and horned creature for whom climbing is a way of life. Capricorn takes a long view because it's going up some purgatorious terrain, and stepping higher means going down and around and backwards along the way. But the goat is driven, and so is Capricorn. They believe hard work is a part of life. Cap usually earns what it has and is the sign of the zodiac that most believes achievement is a kind of currency. They show what you're worth. This is the Capricorn in your life. Think of the tenacity. How does a 200-pound animal do it? The answer tells you a lot about Capricorn. Inside the clunky hoof is a very sensitive little foot that has an incredible sense of weight and balance. The goat can rise a vertical wall using only one foot, and it can climb a 60-degree angle. Capricorn has an instinct for goals and a genius for conquering them. They're sensitive to what needs to be done, when and where to place their foot, and when to lift. Why does it bother? What's at the top of the mountain? Safety. There, the goat is safe from predators. Many Capricorns love living at the top. Partly it makes them feel safe. Partly it nourishes them. Climbing is in their nature, and in fact, they believe that to live is to reach for goals. While Sagittarius may think of life in terms of periods of expansion, and Gemini might think about it in terms of who they knew when, Capricorn is likely to think of it in terms of the goals they were reaching for. I've noticed that when I make a statement to a Capricorn client about them being goal-oriented, they usually say, no, not really. But when I press, it instantly becomes clear that they have plans for the evening and the weekend and the month and the year and the decade and retirement and something to top it off in post-retirement. Work without a deadline. When I tell Capricorn that not everyone plans it out the way they do, they are always surprised. To Capricorn, goal-oriented thinking is thinking. Capricorn has long been known as a serious sign with a sober bent of mind. Consider, for instance, the baby goat begins climbing at just a few days old. The beginning of Capricorn's life is usually beset with work and inherent obstacles. This can take the form of being the man of the house at age 10, or having neglectful parents where the child never gets to be a child, or extreme poverty. That's a common story with Capricorn, and why so many of them wrap money and prestige up into their goals. Capricorn plods and plots because it's convinced that persistence is more important than talent. In many cases, that is correct, and they're nothing if not practical. Let's turn to Saturn, the Roman god associated with Capricorn. Saturn was known as the god of agriculture and also as Father Time. He was closely linked with the changing of the seasons. Capricorn is said to be patient, but it's more an understanding that we live in response to natural cycles. Capricorn likes the structure time gives them. They like parameters in which to operate. Capricorn is associated with the establishment, and there is usually a lot about the sign that is old-fashioned and conformist. Conformity is necessary if you're going to climb a mountain. It's dangerous, so you need to keep the rules in mind. The same is true of whatever ladder Cap chooses to climb. They want to do what people have always done, just with a lot of perseverance and discipline. You don't see much rebellion in Capricorn or wholesale destruction of the big bad system. They tend to respect tradition, and as far as self-control goes, they like that too. However, Cap has an inordinate fear of losing control. This brings us to one of the most famous myths about Saturn. When Saturn castrated his own father, it was foretold that one day a mighty son of Saturn would in turn overthrow him. So Saturn devoured all his children upon their births to prevent this possibility. I should say he thought he ate them all. One was hidden away, and Saturn was given a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes instead. The one that survived was Jupiter, who later did overthrow Saturn. Saturn's fear of the loss of authority caused him to devour something precious. You see this tendency in Capricorn. On the negative side, they chew up enthusiasm, joyfulness, uncontrolled potential, possibility, and, if they're cynical enough, hope. A very negative Capricorn will quash everything from new ideas to spontaneity to humor. In this way, they prevent themselves from living fully. Most Capricorns struggle with depression, at least in its milder forms. The shadow of Capricorn is the fanatic, who judges everything. They think erotica is revolting, free love is destroying the very fabric of society, and that a police state would be best for everyone in the long run. The shadow is a prude that has a problem with anything and everything. The fanatic complains about a lot. They see the negative exclusively and have a remedy for all those problems they've defined a great deal of advice. It comes down to a lack of trust in life and the future. They also have a hard time understanding people for whom discipline is not a top priority, and they are the sign most likely to create a hierarchy within their own mind, in which the rich are shining examples of perseverance and the poor are worthless. The slim are superior and the fat are slobs. And anyone who cries about anything is a snowflake. They talk about maturity a lot. Is this type of Capricorn fun to be around? But they find self-stroking a temptation too strong to resist. Everyone who's ever been with a Capricorn knows that they fear losing emotional control on a daily basis. They try to cope by gunny sacking. Over time, they let their frustrations and anger and irritation build up to an unhealthy breaking point and explode over something minor. Their anus finally unclenches, but they feel guilty for having lost control. Cap likes to be reliable and dependable. Emotions get in the way of plotting, planning, and increments of attainment. Therefore, Capricorn has a general distaste for them. The Capricorn shadow we discussed comes from a lack of good fathering. Both males and females get a good inner father by watching an active and involved father. This kind of fathering is a serious need in Capricorn because ascending to an ever higher position in the world is terribly important to them. Unfortunately, Capricorn often has a father who's stern and aloof. Father is a real enigma and a real difficulty. It's a complicated relationship. Cap is a complicated sign. The plot thickens when you consider that it lost its tail. Capricorn used to be a hybrid called a sea goat. The top half was goat, the bottom half fish. This is a mysterious symbol because goats are not coast dwellers, and yet the sea goat is equipped with a tail to navigate waters. A tail on the earthiest and most realistic of earth signs says something about the nature of life. It's watery. Each life flows like a river that's shaped by natural events and natural boundaries. We want to run to the west, but become diverted because of a pile of boulders and go southwest instead. And then we're flowing east and north and find there's no longer a way to get to the river's mouth we planned on. We don't get what we want sometimes, no matter how much energy we devote to the goal. Some would perceive those moments as the hard knocks in life, but there's another possibility. Our failures are part of a grand design, an overall plan to get us to a destination we didn't have the imagination to think of on our own, or didn't have the foresight to know that we would need. This makes sense when you consider that Capricorn is the sign associated with the concept of fate. The yielding quality of water and the slippery fish tail also explains why a sign driven by outer world achievements is in the feminine grouping. All of this takes time, and you'll notice that Capricorn tends to be a late bloomer. The first 30 years of life are usually the most difficult. After that, they tend to get younger the older they get. They become more comfortable with the tail that shimmies behind them, and they get better at course correction to the extent a human can. Thank you for watching Secrets from an Astrologer's Desk, the personality profiles, Capricorn. I'm Joy. More videos to come.